Hey everyone, this is Grace of GB Maltese, and I thought I would do a little whip and chat with you guys today. Just catch you up on what's going on. If you've watched some of my whip and chats in the recent past, you knew that, remember about my brother getting ready to go for a sleep study. He'd had a mild stroke, and he's doing well. And we're very happy about that. Well, he went for his sleep study week before last. So, yeah, I think it's been a couple of weeks. This has been just kind of strange couple of weeks here lately. You know, sometimes I say that truth is stranger than fiction. Well, this is one of those stories where it really is. Okay, my brother goes for his sleep study, and he has to be there, I guess, at 6 in the evening, and then I guess they kick you out, like, you know, early in the morning. He gets to come on home. Well, while he was at his sleep study, he turned his phone off so that he wouldn't get anybody texting him or whatever while he was trying to sleep, do the sleep study, or get any notifications. So his phone was turned off. Well, while he was at his sleep study, that day his wife had stayed home from work. She wasn't feeling well at all. She was in a lot of pain. So he had to leave her, and he'd been trying to tell her, you know, go see the doctor, go, you know, you need to go check the doctor. And she said, no, I'm just gonna, you know, I think I'll be okay. Well, about 9 o'clock that evening, he's gone, and she gets to hurting really bad. So we live about 100 yards or so away, and she didn't call us. She told us later she didn't want to bother anybody. You know, she thought it was late. 9 o'clock isn't too late. Anyway, she drove herself to the hospital. So my brother didn't know she was in the hospital. So when he gets home the next morning, she's not home. So he calls and finds out she's in the hospital. And when he drove up, what was strange, okay, they have 3 dogs. What was strange is that one of his dogs met him outside. Well, the dogs don't stay outside. They stay in the house. So he knew there was something wrong. He goes inside, and one of the other dogs is in the house. His dog Buddy, which is basically his dog, you know, he just loves this dog. Buddy is gone. He calls for him, and he doesn't come up. So Greg calls my house. It's just a little bit after 6. And now that will scare me more than anything, is to call me up. I thought something had happened to him when his name came up on the phone. Of course, I was still sleeping at the time, but when he told me what was going on, got out of bed, my husband was getting ready for work. We went outside calling for Buddy. That's the dog's name. He's a charcoal poodle, miniature poodle. Just the sweetest dog. What had happened? During the night, my brother has a security system in his home. So if the alarm goes off, the police will call them to check to see if it got set off accidentally first, or the alarm company. I don't know who calls. Well, somebody does call. And Greg had his phone off. Olga was in the emergency room, so no one was answering the phone. So they thought, oh my gosh, you know, we've got a break-in going on over here. So they go over to the house, and the back door it's a sliding glass door. It was partially open. What had happened, the dogs had just been bouncing off of it, and that's what set the alarm off. And they got the door open just enough where they could get their nose, you know, and push it on the rest of the way open, and they got out. Well, when the police got there, I'm thinking all this took place around, I don't know, 11:30, midnight. They saw the dogs outside. All 3 dogs were outside, and they were able to get Lucky inside. Lucky's a little apricot poodle. But Mia, she's a little rat terrier. She would not go in the house. And Buddy would not go in the house. In fact, Buddy took off. He went and hid underneath the neighbor's house, which was quite a ways over. Because we live on, we have a little bit of an acreage. Each person has, a little bit of acreage. And the police said they tried for about an hour to get the dog to come out. And they could not get him to come out. He would not come out from underneath that house. So they left, and they sent, during the day, the animal control came out trying to help us look for him. I went out with Greg, okay. In the meantime, his wife is in the hospital. And they are going to move her to a different hospital, which is about an hour away. So Greg was going to have to leave to go be with her. So I stayed out. I drove up and down roads. I stopped at people's houses. I asked people if they'd seen a gray poodle. And nobody had seen Buddy. Greg gets back home. They have done a sonogram on his wife, and she had at least 15 gallstones. So they said, we're going to have to remove the gallbladder. She had, I think one had broken loose, and that's what caused so much pain at the time. So they were going to remove the gallbladder because it's full of gallstones. Can't just leave that in there. So she goes in the hospital that Friday. They are not able to get to the surgery until a Sunday. So Greg is going back and forth. When he comes home, he and I go out looking for Buddy. His wife got the idea of printing out flyers and putting them in people's mailboxes. Now, I had put posts up on my Facebook page and on some Facebook pages around this area. In fact, there were a couple of you guys who saw it that watch my channel, and you said, hope you find him soon, because I had a picture, and nobody, didn't hear anything until someone wrote underneath there on Saturday, and she said, I saw this dog Friday morning. He was running across the highway. And there's like a highway running in front of our house, and he's never crossed the road. He's never been around in that area, but she said that she saw him cross the road. So then we started changing the location of our search. So on Sunday afternoon, we are going around checking. I went around driving first, and then Greg came home. Olga got out of surgery. Just everything went fine, and they kept her, I think, until Tuesday or Wednesday. Now, I can't remember. It's all just crazy. So, we started putting flyers. We printed out a lot of flyers and started putting them in people's mailboxes. I put them up in a couple of, at the vet's office, the SPCA, a couple of businesses. Well, we didn't hear anything. We had run out of flyers, so Greg printed out a few more. And Olga was back home again. This was on a Thursday. Okay, Buddy has been gone from, let's say, about midnight Friday morning. We might as well say, real early Friday morning. And this was the next Thursday. We were just in a panic. My brother was saying, I won't stop looking for him until I find out something. And we'd been out looking and looking, and anyway, an elderly lady called Greg, and she said she had seen Buddy in her yard twice. So he and Olga rushed on over there. They hadn't told me anything yet. And, of course, Olga can't do anything but just stand there. She's just had surgery, just a few days before. She's very sore. So she's standing there, And they saw Buddy run by a couple of times, but he wouldn't come up to them. The dog was terrified. I guess, I don't know if he had people chasing after him. Well, you know, the police have been trying to catch him, and I don't know if anyone else was trying to catch him. We don't know what happened to him in the meantime. But Greg and Olga got out there. Buddy wouldn't come up. So Greg went back to the house to get his other 2 dogs. And he called me. And I said, I'm coming. I went with him. Lord help me. Boy, he was driving like a bat out of hell. That was craziest drive I had ever seen. I'm like, oh, Lord, please help us to live to see Buddy again. But we got there, and we walked around looking and looking. I was going in the direction they'd last seen him walk. And I was just hightailing on around, you know, walking. And then Buddy showed up again close to where Olga was standing. So she called Greg on her phone to let her know where she was, you know, back where she was. So Greg said, come over this way, Grace. And we went, and we could see Buddy. And Buddy was just standing there. He was standing a long ways, you know, from us. 50 to 100 feet away from Olga and from us, and we were afraid of scaring him. But then the other 2 dogs noticed Buddy, and they went over there to him. As soon as he smelled them and they were smelling each other, his tail went straight up. It went stuck up and just wagging like crazy. After that, he ran to Greg. It was like he didn't know who we were there at first. And he was thrilled to death. So Greg got Buddy. He was just hugging on him and say, boy, why'd you leave me? And it was just such a sweet reuniting. And we went back to the lady's house who had called. And Greg was just so thankful. She was probably in her late 70s, early 80s, and you know, there are people who do not have internet and do not have access to those things, so she would have never seen the post. And other people aren't going to be, you know, looking on the same sites. So let me tell you something, those flyers really help. But anyway, my brother asked the lady, he said, what you want Santa to bring you for Christmas? He was so excited. He was so thrilled to have Buddy back. And she said, oh, I don't want anything. She said, I'm just so happy he's back with his family. Just the sweetest lady. I just thought she was just the neatest person. And we talked to her for the longest, and Greg told her, he said, I will be back. He said, sometime between now and Christmas, Santa's going to be bringing you something. So he hadn't decided what he wants to get for her yet, but he was so thrilled to get Buddy back. So that's been a lot of what was going on there for part of 1 week. Just crazy. I mean, he had been gone basically a week, and it was a miracle we found him and that he was alive and still doing good. Greg said he didn't know how many ticks he pulled off of him and some other bugs on him, so he got him all cleaned up, but he's doing just fine. He was so hungry. Of course, they gave him whatever he wanted to eat. And Greg said he's doing better. I saw Greg yesterday, and he said Buddy's starting to get back to himself. This has been about a week since we found him, and it's still taking him time to get over that because, you know, he was inside all the time. He didn't know how to get back home. So we were so thrilled. But there were so many nice people leaving comments on my post, and when we stop by their houses, oh, we will call you if we see him. So many nice people, and it was just such a breath of fresh air to see that there are there are still a lot of good people out there, and it was kind of scary. Oh, we went through the woods. I had briars stuck all over me. It was an adventure. But Buddy's back home again, and everybody's happy. I know that. Greg, oh, he loves that dog. He's had other dogs in the past, but this one has really been the one that I've never seen him care for one so much as he has this one. And that's why he named him Buddy, because he considered him his buddy. So, all's well that ends well. Okay, let me see. Find some more. Find where some more D's are. I don't know if I told you, I'm working on my waterfall picture here that I've shown a couple of different times. I just don't want to. I've got my laptop sitting on part of it, trying to hold it from sliding, so I can do this quick little video. I have been watching some really strange shows lately. I've been watching some things on Netflix. One of them is called I'm a Killer. There's, they were talking to people who are on either death row or have a life sentence. And don't ask me why. I just thought, why? Why does someone do something like that? And a lot of the ones that I was watching, the murders happened when they were very young. So it was very interesting to see how some of them had changed. You'd see their picture of when they were young, and then you'd see them grown. It was amazing. The last one that I watched was quite interesting. You listen to them tell what happened, and you're wondering, are they telling the truth? And this boy was only 14 when it happened, and he said it was an accident. Nobody knows, because there was nobody there, and it truly may have been. I don't know. But he said that, I think this happened in 2011, or it might have been sooner than that, 2000. I don't remember. I've watched so many of them. And he said that he had been out, well, he gave two different stories. The first story he gave the police is he didn't know anything about it, and he saw some guy run off that must have broken in the house, and he had drugged the body himself. This boy had drugged the body off into the woods, and then tried to say he saw someone run off. So the police are out there hunting this non-existent person, and while they are talking to him, they have a feeling that he's not telling the truth. And it was so strange, because he was talking, and I don't know if it was just because he was so scared, he wasn't shedding a tear. I don't know, at that age, what would be going through someone's mind. Then, now he's been in the pen, I guess, let's see, he's, I think 21, I guess 7 years now. Well, he was put into prison, no parole, for life, no chance of parole. Well, there was a new law passed that if they were children when it happened, that they could get a new sentencing. So that's what they're trying to do. And now he has kind of changed his story. now he told the police, or he was telling, well, the guy that was interviewing him, I guess. And he had been, these people were his friends, okay? He would go over their house, and they accepted him, and he loved the family, and just he could go over there. He had a very poor background. He was actually living with his older sister. His mom would beat them and do horrific things. They had suffered different types of abuses when he was a child. And now his older sister, I mean, she's a whole lot older. Whole lot older than he is. Probably 30 years or more older, I would guess. And so he was living with her, and of course she had to work. So during the day, he, would be at school, but he'd like to go visit these people. So now he changed his story to say he had actually been out shooting the gun and shooting at targets. And when he got over to their house, he was, I think, unloading the gun, doing something, and he accidentally shot her because she was shot in the back of the head. Well, since no one's there, no one can say one way or the other. I wouldn't know. What do you think? Of course, the girl, the parents of the murdered girl are devastated. They don't ever want him out of prison. And yeah, I can see that would be so difficult. I cannot even imagine losing a child like that. But he's hoping to be able to get a new sentencing where he will not be in prison for life. When he said the reason he hadn't told the family what had really happened because he was afraid they were going to hate him. He said they were the only people who actually accepted me and let me come over. I'd had such a rough time, but as I said, the parents really don't ever want him out of jail. They were saying, our daughter doesn't have a second chance. So, you watch these and you wonder what really did happen. And I don't know. It's just, I've watched several different episodes of different things. If you're interested in listening to stories like that, let me know, because some of them are really, I didn't tell this one very well. I hadn't really even prepared to, even thought I was going to talk about it, but it's just kind of on my mind since I had just watched it, I think yesterday. But what I need to do is just take some notes, because some of them, the cases are very strange. That one, to me, I don't see that he would have had a motive to have killed her. I don't know. No, we weren't there. The police just felt like he had done it cold-bloodedly because he just told the story to them, just matter of fact. Didn't seem upset. He was just telling the story, and him hiding the body. I think that was another thing that he was just dragging her, and he told them her head was just bumping up and down and up and down and up and down as he was dragging her into the woods. So I would hate to be a juror on a case like that. I was almost picked for a murder case. I am so thankful I was not picked. This has been a long time ago. This is back when I was still teaching school. I'm not sure how old my daughter was at the time, but what the murder was of another prisoner. Okay, the town I live in, we have the Polanski unit kind of on the outskirts of our town, and we have death row there. So you've probably heard of the Polanski unit if you're in Texas. Anyway, the case involved either 2 or 3 inmates. They were being charged for the murder and beating, and they had beat him and I think stabbed him. Anyway, it was a murder of another inmate. And I'm thinking to myself, I was scared to death, okay? They bring the prisoners in, and they are in their chains, and I think they had on their, I think they were in their orange suits. I think that's what they were wearing at the time. And there was a guard, prison guard, at every single door in that courtroom. And there were a bunch of us jurors stacked up in there, if you know, trying to decide who they were going to pick for the jury. And I just was like, oh, I don't want to do this. To me, you know, well, of course, they were already in prison. I don't know what they were in prison for, because I wasn't chosen. I don't even know if they tell you what they're in prison for when you are in a case like that. All I know is that they had everyone that felt like they should not be on be a juror to stand up. And they said if we knew anyone who was in law enforcement, who worked for the prison, they gave a whole lot of listings of reasons why you should not be part of the jury. Well, my brother Daryl worked for TDC for many, many years in Huntsville, Texas. So, of course, I stood up. I was towards the back of the room where I was sitting. So he went down the line asking people why, what their reasons were, and you would either be dismissed or, you know, said, okay, that's all right. So when it got to me, I'm scared to death, okay? I'm way in the back, and when I first started talking, I said, could you speak up a little bit? So I did, and I said, well, my brother works for TDC in Huntsville, Texas, so they dismissed me. I did not have to. I thought, did they? No, you know, I don't think they did. Because I remember, no, I was not. Because I had to go further into that. No, that was another case. Oh my gosh. I have been called to do different, for different juries. Okay, I was let go on that one. Okay, I was called for another case wherein a man had murdered a woman. I don't remember much about the case. Again, this was again a long time ago. And then they would ask, have you ever served, you know, a criminal case or what? I didn't know anything about the case at all. So, yeah, here I am, a prime juror, because I don't know anything about it. So, I'm picked to come back for a second go-round. Because they were really being very careful who they picked for this jury. I remember I had to go back. And I had to sit on the witness stand. This was so bizarre. And the lawyers had chances to ask me different questions. Anything from the types of shows that I read, the books that I read, the book that I was reading, the last book I had read, all sorts of things. Evidently, they decided not to choose me. I mean, they asked about your religion. They asked about, I mean, you name it. They were asking all kinds of things. So, thank God I was not picked for that. I really did not want to do that. But a friend of mine who went to the same church I was going to, she was picked. And they did find him guilty. And I'm not sure what the sentencing was. It's been a long time. It might have been life in prison. I think is what it might have been. I was just glad I didn't have to be there and see the pictures and all the other stuff that goes along with that. So, I have almost been one of those people who has had to sit on a jury for a murder trial. All I could think of was, oh my gosh, they're going to remember who I am. And if they get out, they're going to come looking for me. Isn't that stupid? But those are things that go through your mind. Excuse me. Got this drainage going on. Got my funky fall weather here in Texas. We are at about 80 degrees today. You know, a week or two ago, we were in the 60s. So, you never know. You never know what it's going to do here. But I am so glad. I have served on a couple of juries. Thank God they were not murders. Almost. That one I got out of because my brother worked for TDC. The other one, evidently, something I answered tipped one of the sides off, and they decided, I mean, even the guy, the man that was being, was on trial. He was sitting there taking notes and looking at me, and that was a freaky feeling, because he was sitting at the table taking notes. Different, you know, the lawyers take notes, the ones that are watching, and they decide who they want by the kind of person they think you are. So, I don't know. I was just glad I wasn't picked. But I have been picked for other cases. Have any of the rest of you served on a jury? I served on one that was really kind of silly. I thought it was kind of stupid. It was a woman was suing, I think it was Brookshire Brothers in Corrigan, which is a little town about 20 miles from where I'm at. She fell, and she said she hurt her knee and in the parking lot. And she said it was because they had been painting the stripes in the parking lot, and it was still wet, and she slipped in the paint. Okay. It was crazy. It was really crazy. But she showed her shoe and showed that it had, you could hardly see, maybe a little streak of yellow on it. It wasn't like it had been wet paint to me. It looked like maybe she might have fallen and scraped the ground up with her shoe. You know, be careful, woman. But she was suing for several $1,000s because she said she'd hurt her knee and she couldn't go dancing and stuff anymore. And it just on and on and on. And I remember we'd sit in the jury room, and nobody believed she deserved to have all that money. So we found for the store. I mean, it was kind of a ridiculous case. I guess some people take anything to court, but to say that you slip and fall in wet paint, and they had painted it hours and hours before the store was going to open, just for that very reason, so people wouldn't get paint on themselves or on their car. So we listened to testimony from different ones. Anyway, that was kind of a silly case. But I've sat on a couple of other things. So if you sat on a jury, let me know below. Any of you sit on a really kind of scary one? Like I said, I almost did. I was thanking the Lord I wasn't picked. I did not do that. Just like, no, I don't want to see the pictures of what you did to this other person. And because we know a lot of things go on in the prison system that shouldn't. And what do they have to lose? I think both of them might have been in for life. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I don't know if they were able to tell us anything about them or not. I might be dreaming that part up, and I don't want to lie to you. Well, I think I've said enough today. I don't want to bore you to pieces, and my throat's getting a little bit dry. I'm having to take a lot of medication for this junk going on. I just want to say I love my cover minder. This is from Savon's shop. I'll put a link to her Etsy shop. She has some gorgeous ones. The thing is, it'll even hold where you have See, I can slide it along. Even where I have these drills, it will hold on there. It doesn't matter. So it's really got some strong magnets. I love this. I've ordered some more from her, so I'll show you some more pretty soon. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. You have a lovely day. Take care of yourselves. I love you guys. And I love you. And, well, I just said that. I don't know what I'm saying right now. You take care. Bye. God bless.